What's up everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing great and following the 3H's of the channel. In this video, I have some very strange and bizarre stories from New Zealand. So, pull up a stump with me and let's get into it. Thank you for watching. So I'm from New Zealand, and I have a collection of somewhat strange tales from my travels around the country. Mainly, these all happened while fossil hunting in remote areas. I was wondering, does anyone else have any experiences in New Zealand? But with all that, I'll get on and tell some of mine. I had just turned 22. I was living in Christchurch, New Zealand. I decided to go hunting for fossils at this new spot. My girlfriend, now my ex, was not interested in that type of thing at all, but she did want to come along for the adventure. So we jump in my girlfriend's 4x4 and we head out about 2 hours out of the city. It was into this desolate logging land. There were redwoods, or our equivalent, as far as I can see on both sides of this narrow road. We were following the map on my phone until we reached the location that I had marked. So we get there and we park the car on the roadside. It was a sunny day. It was still kind of cold-ish, being South Island, but I was super excited to get digging. My girlfriend said that she's going to stay in the car, as I'm only scouting the rock formations to see if we're in the right area. I go over this embankment, and this leads me out of sight of the car. I find some exposed rocks. I thought, now we're in business. And then, something strange happened. I was struck with a sudden, nearly overwhelming sense of sadness. And then, that sadness turned into fear. Just to preface, I'm a pretty happy guy, and this is not something that happens very often. I get the sense that I'm not alone. I can't focus on the job at hand, as I'm deeply, deeply saddened for some odd reason. I wasn't sure why, but I know the feeling is external, as if it belongs to someone else. After some time of not being able to focus or enjoy what I'm doing, I just decide to head back to the car. I approach the ute and my girlfriend is looking away. She's dead staring into the forest on the opposite side of the road to where I was. She doesn't look away from the tree line the entire time that I'm walking up to her. The windows are down and there's little to no wind. Finally, I get to the car. This feeling of sadness has turned nearly to complete anguish by this point. I look over the roof of the car as I see movement in the forest. What I saw leaves me in disbelief. The entire tree line, maybe a 5-meter area across, is blurry. It's moving like a heat wave coming off of a tar road on an extremely hot day. I shit you not, the rest of the bush on either side is perfectly clear and swaying in the light breeze. I stare at this patch of almost clear mist or whatever it is. It doesn't move in the wind. It just hovers there, maybe a meter into the trees. While I'm staring at it, the thing disappears. Not dissipates or fades away, just disappears. The tree line and forest look as they should in less than a second after it's gone. The emotional wave then disappears, but it's left not with my normal emotions, but an emptiness and a feeling of shock. I open the car door and my girlfriend nearly fills her pants. She's in tears and terrified. She saw it too. She begs me to just get in the car so she can drive away. She never comes fossil hunting with me ever again after that. And this next one didn't happen to me, but it happened to my dad. So I got my dad these Homer Simpson slippers. I think I was 5 or so when I got them for Father's Day. He used to wear them a lot around the house. And the thing about these slippers is that they have these little LEDs on top that were pressure sensitive, so that when you stepped in them, they kind of lit up a bit. By the time that this happened, it was a very regular night at home. My dad had just put us to bed, and he was having a cup of tea with my mom, some real British stuff. He kicks the slippers off onto opposite sides of the room, as always. This is done for the specific reason to annoy my mom, but they both get into bed and go to sleep. And then the both of them are woken up sometime between 2 and 3 in the morning. They notice that the room is now dimly lit up with the blinking LED colorful lights. They both are confused, and then they hear shuffling. My dad looks over the edge of the bed. The slippers have now met in the middle of the room and were taking very small steps by themselves toward the edge of the bed. Once they get to the edge of the bed, the slippers stop neatly together, and along with it, the shuffling stops. He's staring at the slippers. They can't believe what they're both seeing. And then the LEDs go out. The shuffling sound starts again, and my dad immediately turns on the light. He was really freaked out by this, but my mom, not so much. She has a history with the paranormal and weird stuff happening, but my dad hasn't. He still was very uncomfortable talking about it, even when he told me. He's 6'3" and by no means a coward, but he still wears the same slippers around. And now this next one might be a little bit longer, so buckle up. It was 2021. I was still living in Christchurch, and I was still super into fossil hunting. I was there with my friend at a fantastic spot. Let's call her Anna. And we've been here multiple times, in both the daylight and at nighttime, with nothing like this ever happening before. A huge storm hits Christchurch a few days beforehand, some of the heaviest rains we had in years. My flat lost part of its roof and started to leak on all 3 floors. During this time, I decided to visit another location, a small farm on the Canterbury coast, about an hour's drive from the city. The farm has great beaches with huge siltstone cliffs full of fossils. We both know that the storm would have knocked a ton of new material down into the beachhead. Anna doesn't finish work until 9, so we arrive at the farm around 11 p.m. We're walking through the farmland down to the beach. We have our floodlights as it's pitch black this far out of the city. It's windy as all hell, and of course, bitterly cold, just to add to it. Both of us are in good spirits, and we're excited to get onto the beach and see what we can bring home. We follow the path down, and we start our trek. We're scanning the rocks and the cliffside with our torches as we go. Everything's going great. We found a huge tiger shark tooth and some nice crab ones so far. And then, I think I can hear something. A faint sound somewhere in the distance. At first, I pay no mind to it. I hear it a few more times and decide to listen. Anna is maybe 50 meters behind me, closer to the tide line, and I'm up against the cliffs. It sounds like a man's voice shouting something in a language that I can't quite make out. It's carried over the wind, but it's not in English. I was thinking it might be other people into fossils that are somewhere along the beach. It's not unheard of to have another team down there at night, but I don't see any lights, or I don't see anyone besides me and Anna, for that matter. I keep doing what I'm doing, and I keep hearing the sound. Then I start to be able to make out what it might be. If you've ever been to New Zealand, you've definitely heard of Te Reo before. It's the language that the native Maori population speaks. It sounds like a man shouting, "Hua," or something similar, definitely in a Maori accent. The shouting was definitely in Maori. It sounds like it's coming from somewhere up on top of the cliff tops. I shine the light up the huge face, but I can't see anything up there. At this point, Anna has made her way over to me. I didn't mention the sound, and we keep making our way further down along the coast. I hear the shouting intermittently as I'm walking. Anna stops and shines the torch up the cliff face and asks me if I can hear anything. I ask what she's hearing. She tells me that she's not sure, but it sounds like shouting in Te Reo, and it's definitely a woman's voice, but she can't quite make it out over the wind. I tell her that I've been hearing the same thing, but I'm certain it's a man's voice. She puts her hand up and says, "Listen," but I can't hear anything. She's telling me she's hearing it at that very moment. I hear the man shouting again, and I ask if she can hear that. Now she hears nothing. We think, okay then, so we each individually hear our own gender sound, but not the other. That's very odd. We decide to keep walking though. It's now about 12:30 at this point. We find some more fossils, and we chat about the area and the paleontological history. You know, just like a couple of nerds. We both haven't heard the shouting in a while. We both assumed that it was nothing but our imagination. We come up to a corner that we round before, quote, Crab Alley. We call it that because of an abundance of fossil crabs. Super creative, I know. There's been a huge cliff slide on the corner. There's rocks and debris everywhere. There's a small space between the cliffside and the ocean that we can go around without climbing or getting wet. I look back at Anna as we agree to check out the fallen cliff on our way back. I take one step forward. I freeze immediately on the spot. Sheer unbridled terror. If I hadn't pissed in a tide pool before, I would have pissed my pants at 23 years old. I was that scared. I literally cannot move a muscle. Anna then lets out a small whimper from right behind me. She clearly feels the same as I do. In front of us is a clear stretch of beach, illuminated by the light of the moon, which came out from the clouds just a few minutes previous to this. Maybe 50 meters away, the ground is moving like a heat wave, almost exactly like what I saw when looking for fossils with my ex-girlfriend. I immediately feel like prey. There's no better way to put it. Anna asks quietly if I can feel that. She sounds absolutely terrified as well. I can feel the air almost solidify in my lungs. I try to breathe, but I can't. I can't get a full breath or anything even close. The entire beach before me feels enraged, and it's letting us know that we could not be more unwelcome there. I feel with 110% certainty that one more step would mean death. Slowly, I back away. I begin to tremble. I feel genuinely traumatized. This presence follows us. We can feel it millimeters off of our backs. We calmly, but hurriedly, begin to walk back to the truck. We're both just dead silent. Eyes are locked forwards. Our flashlights are off. We're walking side by side. It strangely begins to feel as if I'm the passenger in my own body. I get to the slope which leads off the beach and back to the car. I can feel the presence stay on the sand. I hurriedly climb the slope and just GTFO. I look back only once. The entirety of the beach is moving with that same heat wave effect. I actually begin to cry. We get to the car. She floors it and we speed off. Anna is completely shut off. She doesn't say a word until we're about halfway home. She then starts crying uncontrollably, asking, "What was that?" repeatedly. We pull over at a McDonald's and get some food to calm ourselves down. And then we begin to talk about the event. As we talked, we were sure that we had accidentally stumbled onto Maori sacred land somehow, as we both got the very clear feeling that we were trespassing or disrespecting whatever was there. We thought back to the voices that we were hearing earlier from the cliff tops, and both thought that they were some sort of warning, possibly to go no further, which we had unknowingly ignored. It just kind of made sense at the time, and it still does. We were warned to stay away, and upon crossing a certain line, we were met with what I can only call spiritual violence. It was absolutely the scariest experience of my life, and I've been through a lot. I end up asking a couple local fossil hunters about the area, and a friend found greenstone tools and artifacts on that same beach. The Maori people have a cultural and spiritual connection to greenstone, and they used it for tools and ceremonial items. Now, the dumbass took those artifacts home too. After some more time passed, I ended up talking to the owner of the farm, and the spot where we felt unrest was apparently a Maori eating ground where they cooked together as a tribe in the 15 to 1600s. So this next story also happened in 2021. It was about 4 months before my beach experience. It was also on Maori land. I decided to follow a tip and head to a new location in search of Cretaceous marine reptile fossils. The place that I went to is called Waipara River. It's in North Canterbury. The place has been a significant location for the local iwi tribes for centuries, but I didn't find out until later on that day. I get to the location about 12 noon. I park the ute and I walk down the gravel path to the river. There's no path that runs parallel, so I have to wade through about waist deep through the river itself to head upstream. Things are going well so far. This area is beautiful, and there's not another person around for miles. I round the corner and see a high gravel hillside running down the riverbank. I notice something white, contrasting against the gray-brown gravel face. I walk to the riverbank, and I began to scale up the hill. I get to what I'm looking at, and I realize it's a fragment of a moa bone. Moa were gigantic flightless birds native only to New Zealand. The bones aren't extremely rare, but it was my first time finding material from them. I have a look around, and I look a little further up the bank. I can see a much larger piece. It's an entire moa femur. I got extremely excited. This was an unprecedented find for me, and it will make an awesome addition to my fossil collection. I carefully wrap them and apply plaster sheets from my backpack. These are hollow and notoriously fragile. This was a subfossil, where the mineralization process wasn't entirely complete, meaning that the bone is extremely fragile. I have a cup of tea while the plaster is sitting. I'm still a British man at heart. Everything is ready to go. I bubble wrap it and pack it into my backpack to continue upstream. I see a fantail, a small native bird from across the bank, fly over to me. It starts cheeping excitedly and flying in a circular pattern around me. I think, that's weird. Usually these birds are pretty timid, but this one may just not be used to humans. The further I get upstream, the more fantails join him. There's honestly between 12 and 15 at this point. It's hard to count as they're all in constant motion. And then I get the feeling that I'm being watched, and I realize that it's been there for a while now. It's just now at the forefront. I keep catching movement from the tree line on either side of me from time to time. It's just shadows and things like that moving through the trees that definitely are not from the trees. This story takes place about a month after the event with my ex-girlfriend and is only a few kilometers from that location. So I'm already tipped off that something isn't right. I realized it far too late. I feel a hand gently placed onto my right shoulder, and it felt like the strong presence of a woman behind me. Then I lose all control over my body, like somebody else is piloting me upstream. The rest of this story is a complete haze and pieced together from fragmented memories. I'll try my best to get it out though. I get random visions as I'm walking. I can feel myself walking as the water gets deeper, but I'm extremely calm. The same feeling of intense sadness is back. There's definitely visions of dark, shadowy creatures, definitely men stalking me through the forest, but they're unable to step out into the daylight. There's a vision of a Maori woman, maybe in her mid-20s, behind me with a hand on my shoulder. It's hard to explain, but she's aware of the men in the forest, but is confident that they'll stay away. I feel almost connected to her emotionally, and then it's almost like that I can hear the song of the forest. I can't put it into words. It almost feels like an energy that my body interprets as sound, but I can understand it. It's very emotional, and it has impact to it, but no words. I get flashes of what I can only say is the past, with tribal Maori people gathering around the riverbank, going about their lives. It's too much to handle, and I lose consciousness. Not like passing out, but the same as being blackout drunk, I guess is the word, where your brain shuts off, but your body is still operational. And then I wake up. I feel incredibly foggy. I'm on the bank of the river. It's where I first entered. My boots are off and placed neatly next to my bag. I'm wondering, what the hell just happened? The time is now nearly 5 p.m., and I was only an hour upstream when the whole event went down. I remember checking my watch frequently as I was trying to measure the time taken to reach the Cretaceous spot. I slowly get up. I don't feel afraid, just weird. I remember the event, but I'm surprisingly calm about it. I pack up and drive the way home. I stop at a small winery on the way home for a coffee. The woman running the place asks if I've been at the river. I say, yeah, why? She asks me what happened. She says that I seem very distant and off. I tell her that something strange happened, but I don't elaborate because it sounds insane. She says, oh, I'm not surprised. There's something about that place that I can't explain. It's very old. She proceeds to tell me about multiple people being scared away from the river, others reporting lost time, emotional distress, and extreme uncomfortability. She says that the river knows when people are there, and the river is very much alive. So, what did you think of those? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think that wave thing was? It's very hard to say. It's pretty unlike anything I've ever heard of, aside from the Glimmer Man and another encounter that I saw a long time ago, where these things seem to only show up in the darkness. When you shine lights on them, they disappeared, and you could only see them in the darkness because they kind of shimmered. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And of course, if you liked this video, then please like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, there are memberships, there's super thanks, a PayPal, a Patreon, there's an email down there to send your story, and there's also a hype feature, which really helps the channel. And I try to heart every comment when someone says they hype the channel. But sometimes YouTube just doesn't show me all the comments, so if I missed yours, I apologize. And with all of that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you'll stick around for next week's videos. And of course, thank you for pulling up a stump. Thank you for watching. Have a good week.